Hello YouTubers, we're back. So while I was waiting on my next video to proof and get ready so I could export it, I went ahead and printed out a wallet that looks like this, okay? And I printed out 2 copies. And I started cutting them out as I normally do. Okay, just cutting them out. Didn't figure it would be too big of a deal. And then I figured out that I wanted my back to be this color. And then I want my inside of my wallet to be this color. I think those 2 colors go pretty well together. And so this is going to be the whole interior color here, pockets. So it'll be this here interior color that you see here is the only interior color you really see of this, because you'll cut this center section out here, right? And then you'll have your 2 pockets. That's why I decided just to do it in that. And you'll have your 2 pockets, right? Boom, on this side. And I'm getting ready to do these 2 pockets now. So I wasn't sure. I laid my pockets out. I had a roll of this, it was rolled up, and I unrolled it, and it was X long. And when I laid everything out on it, it looked like it was barely going to fit. So what I ended up doing was, as I put the pieces together, which I put them together like this, so I'd like put this piece with this edge about where the edge is going to be. And then I took this piece and I put this edge over the top of that one, and then this edge over the top of that one, like so. That way we're not wasting the inside of the paper that you see here on the cutout. And so it looked like it would fit, but just barely. So to conserve leather, what I decided to do was to take my first piece like this, okay, and cut the edge off straight. Use my 45-degree tool. Put it up against there, like so. Put my piece up against there. Made sure I had about an even amount on each side that would work. And then I kind of scooted this down. Scooted it down, stapled, 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 and then picked it up and stapled, 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 okay? And you can see this piece fit. It barely fit here, so we're just off the line. We're almost on the line there and there and there. So it's gonna fit. In here we got plenty of room. Well, I say plenty, but we're close to the line. But once we cut that line, we'll be okay. All right. And then for the pockets, the same thing. I cut this edge off, put this on, butted it up, stapled, 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 and then what I did was I went ahead and cut this side off. So these 2 sides are already cut now, right? and saved the leather that would be, if you were to space it like that, we would not lose this or that part to leather. So we conserved, did the same thing with this one, except turned the leather over so that we had our one pocket going this way, one pocket going this way type thing, right? And that's kind of where I'm at. And so the video had just finished. It's exporting now, so I'm in good shape. When it finishes exporting, I'll just put this on pause. You will never know that I did put it on pause, but I'll probably tell you. And I'm going to go ahead and cut the rest of these and show you how I did that. So this is a good way if you only have a piece of leather, a small piece of leather. You know it, you're pretty sure it's going to work as far as cutting all the pieces out. And you want it to work, and you don't want to waste anything. And the best thing you can do is, the way I did it is I measured like this is 94, and I measured this width, and it's 101. So I know that these are going to fit within this length. So knowing that's going to fit, no sweat. So this is easy way. There's another little trick to show you to save on leather when you're cutting it from a stencil. So the best way to do that is to take your stencil after you've rough cutted it out. Take one edge, that you're going to use. We're going to use, so it's going to be this edge. So what we'll want to do is we'll want to rough cut this. Or not rough cut it. I'm going to go ahead and just pre-cut this right down on the line, so that now we know we're supposed to be right on the line. And since this was cut on a straight edge the last 4 times, I know it's pretty straight. So I can take this piece, make sure it's lined up, bump it up against here, and then we're going to come off of the edge a little bit. Keeping that there, and then we're going to take our stapler, a little bit more, and staple this right there. And it did make it. So, and now we'll take this side, put it right on the line, and right on the line, and we made it. So, sorry for all the noise. Knowing that we made that now, we'll go ahead and cut this line here. You see, now I know for sure, see how much leather I saved? Before, it looked like I was going to fill all of the leather up. But since I use this particular technique, look how much leather it saved us. I mean, basically, if I did that same thing here, 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 you know, we would be saving another 15 plus almost 20. So we'd be 35 millimeters of leather that we'd be saving. So, but I don't make anything that's that small. I guess I could give it to my wife because she does make earrings out of things. So maybe I'll just go ahead. We'll see how much we really save because it doesn't really matter now since we started doing it this way. I'll show you guys how to do it. It's a good way to save on leather. And you could do it this way all the time if you wanted to, but it is a little bit of a pain in the neck. So I'm going to flip this over, right? And go ahead and trim this up. It's a pain in the neck because it takes extra time, but no, if you want to take the extra time, more power to you. But I always allow, and the industry allows, 10 millimeters between pieces as your off fall. And so that's pretty standard. So, you know, at the end of the day, 10 millimeters is pretty standard, so it's all right. So on this one, we'll go ahead and bring it closer to the edge and get this up against this 45-degree angle jig. Put that up there. Pull that up a little bit. Let's go ahead and get a staple in there. Right on the line. And right on the line. And perfect. Okay. So yeah, so when you're putting this, if you just put this stapler right on that line, this edge right on the line, right on that line, okay? It's going to pull it back just enough that you can cut it. You can see that it's still, we still got some room there. So these pieces are barely fitting, but they're fitting. And so we know we'll cut inside this staple, which will be inside that, which is fine. So we are cutting, and we are cutting the leather, and we're going to have some left over. So it's not too small. This is what you call conserving your leather. Now, so out of that big roll of leather that I had, it was probably this long. By cutting these pieces off, so I didn't have, you know, 10 millimeter, so I saved 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. I saved 80 millimeter, okay? And then what I had left over here was 44, about 44 millimeter, about 44 millimeter. So you could see typically we would have left 80 millimeter of off fall, but it didn't look like we had enough. And by us using that technique. We got everything cut and still had 45 millimeters left over. So, and we'll give this one to my wife. She can cut this out and make some earrings, like she could punch some hearts out or what have you. And so we'll give that to her and she will be happy because green is her favorite color. And then we can go on to getting everything else cut. So the other thing is it's hard to see through this paper and to see this. We do know that if we measure this, it's 94. And if we measure this, it's 101. So this one's just plenty wide enough. The thing is, we've got to get this width fit on here. Okay, so we know that it's going to fit. So the best way we're going to do this is like we did the other ones. We're going to kind of eyeball it. We're going to put our 45-degree tool. Okay. And then we're going to kind of look at it. Run our fingers underneath. And it looks like that. Well, this is crooked, so it's going to be hard to line that up. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and cut one edge of this so that we know it's perfectly straight. That way we can get a perfectly straight edge on a straight edge, okay? And this is going to help us here, just like we did the other ones. Because since this is not very wide, and we've got to leave enough to staple onto there, we have to leave a little border. And since we can't see around this border, here's how we're going to do it to make sure. We're going to kind of look at this line here and make sure that it stays. And look at this line and make sure it stays within this border here and here while we line it up. Okay, so that makes it easier. And then we'll go ahead and push that over so we know that we look good to go. Push that over. We're going to pull this down. And then we're going to hold this down. And we're going to take our stapler, put it on the line, and staple it. We're going to take a peek. And it did staple through the leather. So I'm going to go ahead and do this one. And this one. On the line, on the line. And then see, we're on that line. So we could have shifted this a little more, but that's okay. We're still going to be on the line. Our cut's still going to be inside of these staples. So, and this is lined up, so we don't need to mess with it anymore. And so we'll just go ahead and staple this on the line, on the line, on the line, and on the line. So, and you can see that we've now came inside there even more. And so now we know that our piece is lined up. So easy way to line up a piece when your piece is not very wide and this piece is almost as wide as that piece, and you don't want to make a mistake, right? So the way to do that is to do the technique I just showed you. And that ensures that you are going to be lining this up with this so that it's not crooked. And that when you draw your blade, you're not going to run off the edge and then get to about here and then, you know, run out of leather, and then you've already messed up your leather, and then now you can't even use this piece because you've only got one shot at cutting this thing. So, again, we'll go ahead and cut our corners in. So like this, cut these corners in. And this is with our old blade. And it seems to be doing okay. If we need to, we'll break out a new blade here in a minute. I'm going to give it a test here and see. Seems like we may need to do another blade because that other project wore our blades out pretty good. So to make sure we're getting down and we're going to go ahead and snap us off a blade here. Love this blade. Love this cutter. Love the way you can do that. I wouldn't give it up for anything. Let's take a little drink here of water. Yeah, now we already cut that, so we're going to go ahead and cut this piece. Yeah, much better there. When you have a sharp blade, it makes a world of difference. You can almost take this and turn it, push this through and turn it, and it's amazing because it allows you so much control over your leather that way, so that you are getting a perfect cut. Without ruining your blade. Now, this one we got to cut out the end. This one we will not cut out this piece. So we'll go ahead and cut this out, starting with these edges. Yeah, let's go ahead and, yeah, we'll cut one edge and we'll cut the second edge and cut this last. That way we'll have two edges holding onto that leather at the same time. And you can see when I line it up here and line it up here, we can see we have plenty of leather that left over. See, whereas before it looked like it was barely going to make it. And this side's already cut for us. Okay, so let's go ahead and cut this side next. Cut there. Cut here on this line. We have that much leather left over. So, and that's another thing you could do if you wanted to, is you could always put your blade up there. Once you get this on there, you'll have to find some way to clamp it and hold it, and then look at it and see how much leather you're going to have left. But I always just like to do it the way I did it, because once you drive a staple through this edge, which is not through the part that has the line, if it goes through the leather, at least now you know where you're at. And most of the time, when you eyeball it like we did, you're going to be fine. And so we'll just go ahead and cut this piece here. And that's what we're going to have left. And so we'll just go ahead and put this right on that paper. Or we could put it right up against, real close to the staples. Go ahead and cut that off. And now we've saved that much, which is, ironically enough, 44 to 45 millimeters of this. So same size of this as we saved of the other piece. How amazing is that? Okay, so now that's cut. Right? Now we got a good cut on that. And looks good. Looks really good. So our pockets are ready to cut. And our internal's ready to cut. We'll go ahead and cut this. We'll cut this piece out first. Some guys like to take, you can take a round punch and punch it on this side. Let me show you a couple techniques we could use. I'm not going to do it, but I'm just going to show you. Some guys get these that are big enough and you could put it on the inside. It would be as round as this. And then punch that and punch, 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 and then draw straight lines. And this would pop out and you'd have perfect corners. That's one way to do it. But you have to have some pretty big punches. And you have to have punches that are small enough that you can't go outside these lines, because you can't mess anything up outside this border. Okay? So that's one way. A second way you could do it would be to take these little 45, not even 45, 22.5 degree gizmos. Line them up on each line like this. Look in the back. Make sure they fit. But in this case, these don't. They cut the corner too sharp, and they don't give a good as sharp corner. So those don't work. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to freehand them. So we just come and cut around that corner. And we just take our time and go really slow. Now, I'm going to do this one the same way. Start on our straight, come down and around, down and around, stop. Do this one, punch all the way through with your knife. That's why we wanted to cut that and get it sharp. Down and around, staying on that line. This is where staying on the line is going to count. Then we'll want to stay on the line. Turn that baby. Turn that. on the short piece, on the short straights. I'll just go ahead and freehand those shorts. On these long ones, so that we don't get out of line, we want to use our ruler. But remember, I told you that now we have product that's on the other side of this line out here that we don't want to cut into. So since we have our paper on here, what we'll do is we know we started our cut right here and stopped our cut on our corner about right here. So we'll draw this like so, okay? Same thing here. We did it about right here, and about right here. Because I can see that's where we started our cut. So the reason we mark that like that is because now what we're going to do is we're going to be putting this ruler, and we want to cut along this straight line, but now we can't see our end line, and we want to stop before, so we don't cut into our project. So by drawing these lines, now we know we go from this line, cut down, cut to that line, and stop. And we don't cut any further. So we know we come down and through there and stop at that line. And by doing that, we get almost a perfect cutout. So do the same thing here. So it gives us a line to start and stop on. Start our mark there, come through, come all the way down to the line, stop. And if you're not sure, you want to stop a little soon, because depending on your angle, if you're straight up, you're going to have a smaller tip. As you go down like this, you're going to have a longer tip, so you don't want to stop this tip here, because you'll be cutting back into here. So always keep that in mind. So always try to keep your tool up high when you're cutting, because when you hit that line, you need to stop. And see, it punches right out. Now this one did punch right out on the leather piece, so we have to get back in here and just kind of cut that down a little bit until we get it to punch out of there. We go. Same thing with this one. This one's just got a little bitty tag right there that needs to be. And then this guy here, he's just got a little bitty tag right here. We just need to cut him off. No big deal. All right. So this one's got a little bitty tag there. We can just cut him. We can cut him. And this guy has a little tag. We just cut him. These little scissors are pretty good little scissors. We use these to cut our thread, but they're sharp enough that they can cut little tags with leather. And so there you go. That makes for a nice cut. And now we have a piece. I can give that to my wife, and she can use that to cut or use for her earrings. Always try to reuse your leather if you can. Give it to somebody, or if you've got other smaller parts that you make, always keep it in mind and hang on to it, right? So now that that's cut out, let's go ahead and let's cut our corners. Cut our corners in, right? Let's get our corner cut in here. Cut our corner in here. Cut our corner in here. Let's go ahead and cut our straights. Here's one corner, two corners. Something under there. Seems like there's something under that mat. It's a big hump there. Okay. Corners are cut in. Now all I have to do is give a little sand here in a little bit. But we'll sand this and finish this off here as soon as we get our pieces on. So normally that's what we would do, would be to go ahead and finish these pieces in here. I'll take my Dremel in here and go around and around and get that all shaped up. But let's go ahead and cut these pieces. It's going to be time to feed the puppies here soon. Just cut corner and cut this corner. And then cut this straight. Similar to the last wall that we did, but it's a little different. Okay. Let's do it this way. There you go. And since we cut that turned over, now we got it for this side. Right here. Let's go ahead and cut this corner. Let's go ahead and cut this corner. Okay. Go ahead and get this end cut. And you may see, and because we cut those ends when we were putting these together, when we were buttoning it up, you know, cutting the end, button it up, staple, cutting this end straight. That way we didn't staple on either end. We had no off fall. So, and it's already been cut. So since it's been cut, we had two sides that's already been cut. So it's not taking us any time to cut these pieces out, right? These pieces are cutting out quicker that way. So, you know, you're doing a lot of things. You're saving leather, and it's not taking you as long to cut these pieces out because you already cut two of the sides off. So turn around here. We just did our corner. Now we'll do our straight. It's important to get your straight as possible. Okay. And then this one here. Straight as possible. There we go. So now we know that this is going to be like this. This will be like that. We'll go from here, go around, go all the way around. And when we go across, we don't have to worry about this pocket getting zapped up by this corner here. So we'll be able to put cards in these pockets real easy. Whereas the last one had a little overhang and it didn't allow us to put the cards in the pocket because when we sewed all the way around, we could have left it open, which is what I was originally thinking about doing, but then we'd had to make it a bifold, and there was a couple other things we had to do, so I just thought, you know what, we'll make it this way. Sometimes you can change horses in the middle of the string. You think you're going to make it one way, and you decide you're going to make it a different way. As long as it's before you get to the point of no return, you're okay. Which is what we did. We did it before the point of no return. So we were okay. I will show you how to make a bifold. We'll do one, this next one we'll do. I'll do a bifold out of one of these and show you how it's done. I've done them before and they work out pretty good. And so they make for a nice little tiny bifold that you can carry. Okay, so that one was turned over. And so now we've got this piece there and this piece here, like so. Bada bing, boom, bang, baby. And so it means this is
One moment.
This is
showing results for Bing Boom Bang
Alexa,
Baby.
stop. And so this is going to fit just like this. If she keeps doing this, I'm going to have to unplug her while I'm making my YouTubes because I'm getting tired of getting interrupted. It's amazing. Anyway, let's get rid of her there. Okay, so there it is. That's what it's going to look like. And then this is going to be over here. This will be in here. So we'll have a pocket here, 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 and here, and inside of here, and inside of here. So that's what it's going to look like, folks. And so based on that, we will get this crap cleaned up. The alarm's getting ready to go off in a couple minutes, which is going to knock my video offline. And because we're going to want to feed the puppies. My alarm goes off every day. But it's okay because even though it knocks it off, I'll splice this together. I've learned a real cool technique on how to use QuickTime and photos to change my aspect ratio, and also use QuickTime to take one video and pull it at the end of another video, and so on and so forth. That's what I did to the last video, and it works pretty good. So it's pretty cool. Basically, you just have the one video in QuickTime, and you pull it up, and while it's up, you don't have it playing, but you just have it up, and then you go into your downloads or wherever you have your other file and left click it and drag it. When you get over the top of the QuickTime, the little bar will pop up. You'll see all your clips. Put that video at the end of your clips, hit done, and now it'll have 2 videos spliced together, and you can do more than one. I've done 4 or 5 of them like that, so it really makes it pretty cool. Anyway, I'm going to hang up here or put this on pause, or go ahead and terminate this video and start a new one when we come back. And then we're going to start putting this together and start cleaning some of this up. Okay? Take care.